In this video, we'll explore a bit about the city that was the center of the world during the Age of Discoveries. The city is Lisbon, the capital of Portugal. To better understand what we'll see ahead, it's useful to make some comparisons between Portugal and other countries in Europe. When it comes to wealth generation, out of the 50 countries in Europe, 13 are above average, Group 1, and the other 37 fall below average, Group 2. Portugal is part of Group 2 and ranks 20th. In terms of GDP per capita, Portugal ranks 25th. Portugal is a relatively small country. Its territory covers only 0.9% of the European continent and holds 1.4% of its population, ranking 15th and 12th respectively. Lisbon is the westernmost capital of continental Europe. It is also, after Athens, the second oldest European capital, although today it is not among the 30 most populous. Lisbon predates many modern European capitals by several centuries. During the Roman occupation, from 27 BC to 410 AD, the names were different. The region was called Lusitania, and the place we now know as Lisbon was referred to as Felicitas Julia and Olisipo. In addition to the Romans, the Lisbon area was once occupied by several other peoples. Lisbon lies just over 40 kilometers from the westernmost point of Europe, Cape Roca. The first tourist attraction we'll visit is the Monument to the Discoveries. It is located on the banks of the Tagus River. It was built to honor Portugal's achievements during the Age of Discoveries. The Age of Discoveries was one of the most significant periods in world history and left a lasting and triumphant mark on the history of Portugal. Just like today, Portugal at that time was not among the most powerful states on the continent. Yet, Portugal was the pioneer and stood out during the Age of Discoveries. This pioneering role was made possible for several reasons. 1. Portugal was the first European country to develop a systematic policy of maritime exploration. 2. Its favorable geographic location. Lisbon is the only capital on the Atlantic coast of continental Europe. 3. The development of advanced nautical equipment for that era. 4. The support of the Portuguese crown, political stability, and the leadership of figures such as the navigator Prince Henry the Navigator, Infante Dom Enrique. In addition to being the first, Portugal continued to ride the waves of the Age of Discoveries alone for the first 80 years. The main milestones of Portuguese pioneering were the conquest of Ceuta, in North Africa, in 1415, considered the starting point of Portuguese expansion and the beginning of the Age of Discoveries. The exploration of the African coast from 1420 to 1480. The establishment of the sea route from Europe to India by Vasco da Gama in 1498. The discovery of Brazil by Pedro Álvares Cabral in the year 1500. Through these achievements, Portugal opened the first major oceanic routes and significantly changed the course of world history. Lisbon's connection to the Age of Discoveries comes from the fact that most of Portugal's exploration decisions, as well as the departures and returns of many expeditions, took place in this city. From that point on, Portugal began to build its empire. It's worth noting that the glory of the Portuguese during the Age of Discoveries becomes even more impressive when we consider that there were more powerful states at the time, and that these initiatives could have come from them, but didn't. Just to give one example, the Republic of Venice was wealthier and more powerful than Portugal, had a strong navy, extensive maritime experience, a vast commercial empire in the Mediterranean and Black Seas, and also controlled trade routes between Europe and the East. After those initial decades, other countries joined the race. Spain was established in 1479 and soon entered the race for discoveries, achieving a major success in 1492 with Christopher Columbus's voyage to the Americas. England followed in 1497, with the Italian Giovanni Cabotto's, John Cabot's, expedition to the Americas. Despite this early venture in 1497, England's maritime and colonial expansion, and the formation of its empire, happened much later, beginning only in 1607. The Age of Discoveries lasted for about 185 years, starting in 1415 and ending around 1600. From that point on, with the rise of England, the Netherlands, and France, the decline of Portugal and Spain began in relation to what they had achieved during the Age of Discoveries. Belém Tower is an icon of the Age of Discoveries, a beautiful feat of engineering. It was built between 1514 and 1519, standing 30 meters tall and 40 meters long. At first, it served as a fortress to protect the entrance to the port of Lisbon. Over time, it had several other uses. It functioned as a lighthouse, customs post, military garrison, and even a prison. The structure has 5 floors, which were used respectively as the governor's quarters, royal chambers, audience hall, chapel, and, at the top, the terrace of the tower. From the terrace, there is a beautiful view of the surrounding area. Belém Tower is one of Lisbon's main tourist attractions and among the most visited sites in the city. Jerónimos Monastery was built to celebrate the great achievements of the Portuguese navigators. It was named this way because, after its construction, the monarchy entrusted it to the monks of the Order of St. Jerome. The intent was for the monks to pray for the souls of the king and the sailors. This reminds us of the popular saying that someone never makes a move without a purpose. Jerónimos Monastery is one of Portugal's most important tourist attractions. The building's beauty, its history, and its symbolism all highlight its great significance. It is located near the site from which the Portuguese maritime expeditions departed. Jerónimos Monastery is made up of several spaces: the Church of Santa Maria de Belém, the cloister, chapter house, upper choir, sacristy, refectory, temporary exhibition areas, and museums. Important historical figures such as Vasco da Gama and Luís de Camões are buried there. The cloister of the monastery is truly beautiful. The National Pantheon's purpose is to honor the memory of Portuguese individuals who stood out for their services to the country. It is housed in the Church of Santa Engracia. There is an interesting story in the parish records. It describes an event that could, in a way, be considered Lisbon's version of Romeo and Juliet. According to the records, a young man was accused of stealing the reliquary of Santa Engracia simply because he was seen wandering near the church area at night. When questioned about the accusation, the young man claimed to be innocent but did not explain why he was often seen wandering the area at night. As a result, he was condemned to be burned at the stake. After the execution of the sentence, the real culprit was discovered, along with the reason for the young man's silence about his nightly visits. He was in love with a nun from the convent of Santa Clara, which was near the church, and the two planned to run away together because, besides the likely disapproval of the convent, the relationship was forbidden by the young woman's father. The National Coach Museum is a museum dedicated to transportation vehicles from before the invention of the automobile. It features more than 70 vehicles used by the Portuguese and European royalty between the 16th and 19th centuries. It is one of the most important collections of carriages in the world and includes coaches, carriages, litters, sedan chairs, and harnesses. It is the most visited museum in Portugal. There are many different models of carriages, varying in terms of cabin types, propulsion, accessories, and luxury items, all designed to meet the needs and desires of clients, whether kings, queens, popes, ambassadors, princes, princesses, other authorities, or anyone else. It can be said that some carriages look like works of art on wheels, featuring sculptures, coats of arms, paintings, and tapestries. This reveals the level of refinement and allows us to imagine just how strong the desire for ostentation must have been. Through this, one can get a glimpse of what life was like in that era. The museum offers an opportunity to step into the imagination of Portuguese monarchy history, diplomacy, and court life. It is a context where transportation blended with art and luxury in aristocratic life. Above all, the museum provides a chance to appreciate the evolution of animal-drawn means of transport. São Jorge Castle is an ancient fortress located within the urban perimeter of Lisbon. The castle dates back to a time before the Romans. Over the centuries, the city suffered numerous invasions, and as a result, the castle was destroyed and rebuilt several times. In addition to invasions, the castle was also damaged by natural events, including several earthquakes that struck Lisbon. As a consequence, the castle that stands today is not exactly the original medieval structure, but a reconstruction designed to resemble what it might have looked like. For centuries, the castle was vital for the city's defense. Its elevated location, walls, towers, and fortified gates all played a decisive role. Due to its excellent view over the Tagus River and the city, It was also used as a lookout point. The castle served as a royal residence until the 16th century, as well as a center of power where meetings, official ceremonies, and celebrations were held. Visitors are allowed access to nearly all parts of the towers and walls, and the view is excellent. You can see the historic center, the Tagus River, the 25th of April Bridge, and the Belém area. Right after entering the castle, you'll find a viewpoint and gardens. The area is lushly planted, and you can often see peacocks roaming freely. São Jorge Castle offers a very pleasant environment. Various events take place at the castle, ranging from theater performances and music to exhibitions and educational activities about Lisbon's history.
Que determinais que vá cozer ao inferno.
Escrito estás no caderno das emendas infernais.
Barqueiro, que aguardais? Vamos, venha à prancha logo e leva aquele fogo. Não discutamos mais.
So far, we've explored the old part of Lisbon. Now, let's take a look at some attractions in the modern part of the city. Vasco da Gama Tower was built to give the city a modern landmark. It is a tribute to the navigator Vasco da Gama and to Portugal's maritime tradition, featuring a design that resembles a ship's sail. The Vasco da Gama Tower complex includes a building and an adjacent metal structure with an observation deck and an antenna at the top, reaching 145 meters in height. The covered observation deck has 38 windows, offering a 360-degree view of the city and the Tagus River. Vasco da Gama Tower is one of the tallest buildings in Portugal. Nearby is the Vasco da Gama Bridge, one of the longest bridges in Europe. The Parque dos Nações cable car is a cable transport system running between Vasco da Gama Tower and the Lisbon Oceanarium, and back. The distance between these 2 points is 1,230 meters, and the cable car operates with 44 enclosed cabins, each with a capacity of up to 8 people. The trip lasts about 8 to 10 minutes. The view from the cable car complements, on a smaller scale and closer perspective, the panorama seen from the top of Vasco da Gama Tower. During the ride, you have a great opportunity to enjoy the scenery and take photos, and depending on the weather, you might be treated to the golden sunlight reflecting on the waters of the Tagus River. The Lisbon Oceanarium is one of the largest oceanariums in Europe and among the most complete and visited in the world. It features several aquariums, with the main one holding 5 million liters of water. This centerpiece simulates the global ocean, home to sharks, barracudas, sunfish, rays, moray eels, and schools of various species. The Oceanarium experience aims to give visitors the illusion of being immersed in the ocean, very close to marine life, constantly moving back and forth. Surrounding the main tank are 4 other aquariums simulating different oceans: the North Atlantic, Temperate Pacific, Antarctic, and Tropical Indian. Each is set up with species and vegetation typical of its region. Lisbon is famous for its viewpoints, which offer charming views of the city, the Tagus River, and the hills. They are places for gatherings, inspiration, and contemplation. The most famous viewpoints are Santa Luzia, Nossa Senhora do Monte, São Pedro de Alcântara, Eduardo VII Park, and, as mentioned before, the São Jorge Castle viewpoint. The Cristo Rei viewpoint, although located on the other side of the river, also offers a great view of the city of Lisbon. Avenida da Liberdade is perhaps the most elegant and beautiful avenue in Lisbon. In the past, the site of the avenue was a walled garden known as the Passeio Público. The avenue was named after a period of political oppression, understood as a reference to a popular aspiration, a tribute to the freedom that was achieved. It is home to numerous luxury brand stores, 5-star hotels, consulates, offices, statues, and monuments, including the World War I Memorial. The avenue is well lined with trees and measures 90 meters wide and 1.1 kilometers long, connecting Restauradores Square, passing through Marquês of Pombal Square, and ending at Eduardo VII Park. Marquês of Pombal Square is one of the most important squares in Lisbon and is located next to Eduardo VII Park. In the center of the square stands a 40-meter-tall monument topped with a statue of the Marquês of Pombal. The Marquês of Pombal is considered one of the country's heroes, recognized for several achievements, such as the reconstruction of the city after the 1755 earthquake and the reform of public administration. Commerce Square symbolizes centuries of history and is one of the largest squares in Lisbon. It is located on the banks of the Tagus River, less than 1 kilometer from the southern end of Avenida da Liberdade. Before the 1755 earthquake, it was the site of the Ribeira Palace, the Portuguese royal palace. The square, covering about 36,000 square meters, is a vast space where public demonstrations are held. At the square stands the majestic Rua Augusta Arch, built to honor the former Portuguese Empire and its discoveries. More details about these tourist attractions can be found in the video description. In closing, Portugal is a country that, despite its relatively small territory and population, played a prominent role in world history during the Age of Discoveries. As a result, it was the first country of that era to establish its empire. Visiting the monuments that recall this glorious past of Portugal, such as Belém Tower, the monument to the discoveries, Jerónimos Monastery, as well as others from different perspectives and contexts, is a memorable travel experience. With that, we conclude here. Until our next journey.